Picture this: a cavernous, half-finished Dominion workshop, thrumming with barely contained chaos. Frantic alien engineers scurry around an absurd contraption. Vats of bubbling liquid connected to giant whisks, rubber ducks floating in pulsating energy conduits, and a massive slingshot dominating the center. Enter Commander Supplebottoms of the Galactic Dominion, his imposing form radiating a mix of urgency and utter bewilderment. "Reinforce the duct deployment matrix," he bellows, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "I don't care if it defies the very laws of physics. Those humans are onto something with their projectile waterfowl." "Commander Supplebottoms, sir," a voice calls out from behind. "Everything is proceeding according to schedule as requested." The commander turns, his expression softening slightly. "Excellent, Bizzlebosoms. Carry on." Chief Engineer Bizzlebosoms beams, a flash of too many pointed teeth visible within his oversized grin. He nods affirmatively and scurries away. Satisfied, Supplebottoms returns his attention to the datapad in his clawed hand. He scrolls past a jumbled transmission intercepted from Earth. Phrases like potato chips, cheesy feet, and whiskers flash across the screen, a testament to the inane chatter his code crackers struggle to decipher. His antennae twitch in irritation. Then, his eyes fixate on a single word, highlighted with flashing priority alerts. Project YOLO. A flicker of both dread and a strange, twisted anticipation crosses his scaled features. "Those meddling humans," he hisses, his voice barely a whisper, "always with their nonsense and their snacks. Could this Project YOLO truly be the key to—" He trails off, allowing a delicious silence to hang in the air. Meanwhile, Xylar, chief xenoanalyst for the Galactic Dominion, twitched his primary antenna in frustration. Humans were an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, stuffed inside an interdimensional tesseract of illogic. Their latest intercepted transmissions only confirmed this. "Again, from the top," he instructed his long-suffering assistant. "But this time, let's try focusing on the parts that sound like they might contain even a fragment of rational thought." The assistant, a bright-eyed, overly enthusiastic junior xenolinguist named Peep, squeaked in agreement. Xylar knew that enthusiasm would quickly turn to despair. It always did when dealing with humans. "Project codename YOLO," Peep began. "Primary objective unknown, but data suggests a focus on altering astrophysical phenomena. Key components include 1. Yellow inflatable aquatic fowl analogs. Quantity excessive. 2. Propulsive device of improbable scale, potentially utilizing elastic energy principles." And Peep faltered. "Kitchen utensils of assorted sizes?" Xylar sighed. This was why he got the big salary and the perpetually furrowed brow lines. "Continue," he urged with a weary flick of his secondary antenna. "Proposed energy source." Peep took a deep, fortifying breath. "The data is fragmentary, but translations suggest fermented grain extracts, potentially the intoxicating variety." Xylar's eyes, all 6 of them, narrowed. This was beyond the usual human nonsense of meme propagation and debates on whether clothing items were blue and black or white and gold. This was something new, potentially dangerous. "Are there any schematics?" he asked, a sliver of hope in his voice. "Indeed," Peep chirped, projecting a series of diagrams onto the analysis chamber wall. Xylar squinted, his antennae twitching as he processed the utter bizarreness before him. Rubber fowl hurtling through space, a slingshot the size of a small moon. Vats labeled "fun juice," positioned at critical junctures. "They can't be serious," he muttered. Then inspiration struck, a chilling, horrible inspiration. "Propaganda? They're attempting to mislead us." Of course, it was so obvious. Humans were masters of deception, their greatest victories achieved through misdirection and seemingly idiotic ploys. "Alert High Command," he snapped. "This warrants immediate investigation." And peep, he added, his voice low, discreetly access the files on Commander Supplebottoms and his unusual projects. Peep squeaked in surprise. According to top-secret databases, Commander Supplebottoms is spearheading a project to replicate this YOLO technology. There's a belief that humans may possess a doomsday device of unprecedented absurdity. Xylar's antennae drooped slightly. "Supplebottoms, is it?" he muttered, a flicker of uncertainty clouding his usual confidence. "He has a reputation for unorthodox solutions. Perhaps, just perhaps, there's a twisted genius to this human nonsense." The thought left him both intrigued and uneasy. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, on a Dominion outpost monitoring fringe space, Chief Engineer Bizzleboosums picked at his nutrient paste with a distracted air. Commander Supplebottoms, the architect behind the push for Project YOLO, loomed behind him, an imposing figure radiating a mixture of anticipation and barely contained glee. "Intriguing," Supplebottoms rumbled, his eyes fixed on the updated schematics as he continued to speak. "Highly improbable, yes. But with humans, improbable is merely a stepping stone to catastrophic." Then a flicker of ambition, or was it madness, touched his gaze. "We could turn this into a triumph for the Dominion," he exclaimed. Bizzleboosums felt a familiar twinge of unease. Commander Supplebottoms had a knack for taking credit and shifting blame with equal enthusiasm. Weeks turned into months in the top-secret Dominion workshop. Chief Engineer Bizzleboosums paced around his team of nervous-looking engineers, his scaly brow furrowed in concentration. "The power couplings," he barked. "They must be reinforced. Human energy calculations are notoriously unreliable. We can't risk a premature detonation due to over-enthusiastic rubber duck deployment." A chorus of whimpers and squeaks rippled through the engineers. The absurdity of their task was beginning to take its toll. Yet, the allure of adapting such chaotic human designs held a strange appeal. It was bold, unexpected, in a way the Dominion had stagnated in recent centuries, while the baffling humans seemed to innovate by sheer random chance. Finally, the day arrived. The improved YOLO device, a glorious amalgamation of rubber ducks, industrial-sized kitchen whisks, and more vats of fermented fun juice than any sane engineer would deem necessary, shimmered in the testing chamber. "Initiate test sequence," Bizzleboosums commanded, a hint of a manic grin twisting his reptilian features. Commander Supplebottoms selected a target for their experiment, a small, barren moon on the farthest edge of Dominion territory, a perfect test bed for this glorious, nonsensical weapon. Control panels blinked, power levels surged, rising to a point that set off wailing alarms throughout the facility. The heady scent of fun juice, mixed with the sharp ozone tang of unstable energy fields, created a cocktail that made the engineers jittery. Then it happened. Not with a bang, as one might expect from a weapon, but with a slurping whoosh. The rubber ducks vanished into a swirling vortex that defied all known physics. The slingshot, groaning under impossible tension, snapped forward. Silence descended, followed by a ripple of confusion among the Dominion engineers. Bizzleboosums hummed, peering at the sensor readouts. "It appears to have worked?" A flicker of doubt crept into his voice. "Most unexpectedly," he reassured himself hesitantly. It was then that the frantic alert signal pierced the air. Reports flooded in detailing a massive energy surge, an unplanned wormhole, and worst of all, the abrupt disappearance of an entire, heavily populated planetary system within the Dominion's borders. And, to add insult to injury, the obliterated star system happened to be in the neighboring sector to the still untouched test moon, for Project YOLO. Bizzle bosoms, under supple bottoms' withering glare, stared blankly at the blinking accusatory lights on his control console. Slowly, horrifyingly, the truth dawned upon him. The humans hadn't designed a weapon. They had designed a blueprint for cosmic-scale disaster. Those diabolical sons of a gizzardloof, Bizzle bosoms hissed under his breath. Bizzle bosoms watched in horror as the reports continued to stream in. Supple bottoms, however, seemed to deflate, his imposing form slumping. But as Bizzle bosoms began to stammer out an explanation on how they just destroyed an entire planetary system, a cold glint entered the commander's eyes. Chief Engineer, Commander Supplebottom's voice was a silken hiss. It seems your modifications were less than successful. High Command will want a full accounting of this debacle. Bizzle bosoms felt the blood drain from his scales. The trap had been expertly laid. He was the fall guy, the scapegoat for Commander Supplebottom's reckless gamble. Across the galaxy, on the human world of Earth, amidst a pile of discarded takeout containers and a half-watched reality show, a forgotten translator device sputtered out a final garbled transmission. Something about extra crispy duck surprise, total system failure, imminent planetary destruction, apologies for any inconvenience. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Xylar, chief xeno-analyst of the Galactic Dominion, received the news. The report highlighted that trillions of Galactic Dominion lives had been lost. His antennae drooped, and he crumpled into his chair with a whimper as he asked out loud to no one in particular, "For the love of all things big and small, why do we keep intercepting these human transmissions?"